Cue the hernia. Friends, Romans, countrymen. How's the rest of that go? Lend me your ears. Hey, what's happening? Good evening. It's another weekend in the garage, and it's cold. But we're inside. The garage is definitely doing its job and keeping the ambient air a few degrees warmer than the outside. But I'm short a little propane and the propane accessories. And as soon as I get that, I'll tell you what, then we'll warm it up in here. Sorry for that. I like impressions. That's one of my things. But we're out here in the garage because we wanted to mess around with the old the Valiant Undertaking. Time to start cutting away some more rusty metal. But I think I'm going to dig a little bit into this side and see what we need to do to get this other subframe connector ready. This one's still tacked in. It didn't fall out due to negligence on my part. We're going to dig around it. We're going to clean things up. Oh man, forgot to. Another thing I wanted to do. We've got ye old 727 torque flight. I'm trying to remember which torque flight this was. I see some wire attached to the the kick down. I did a dumb thing a long time ago with a transmission where I didn't have all the kick down leakage, so I just wired it open. And if you've done that, or if you're a smart guy, you'll know that's a dumb idea. And I learned that the hard way when I was in my late teens. Worked good till I was racing my buddy's dad in his Chevrolet. Don't remember which gear we were going into, but boom, toast. Didn't blow up per se, but the RPMs just all of a sudden revved and we had no forward motion. Had to get a tow home. And that was in this car a million years ago when that happened. I need to get that transmission out. Transmission out, metal cut. We'll see how far we get. Since I'm going to be making sparks fly and cutting dirty, rusty metal, I usually like to wear a beanie. Can't find my beanie. Hope the Mopar hoodie, my shop hoodie, will do the job. So I loves me a creeper as much as the next guy. Creeper meaning thing you lay on the ground to lay on and roll around. So we all know what we're talking about here. But I find it mostly easier to just lay a piece of cardboard down and slide under whatever I'm working on. And this does appear to be that transmission I smoked by being dumb. This car sat outside for a long time. At one point I really thought it was big blocking this car. So I had a 383 and this torque flight shoveled in it just to kind of, test fit, work around it, I needed a couple bucks in my pocket, so I sold the 383, left the 727 hanging here in the Valiente. But now I don't think it's doing us any good sitting in here, so I'm trying to center that. Not doing a very good job. I just got to get these bolts out. I just threw some bolts through the cross member to hold the back end up. I've got a nice plastic bag sock condom combination there to protect the tail shaft. I mean, this transmission's nuked. It needs a build anyway. So this is the stock 904 cross member for the transmission. This 727 slides right in it, in case you were wondering. I've seen a few of these with big blocks in them, so it's doable, guys. But whatever I end up putting in here, I'm probably going to get the chassis all, firmed up. Probably going to be a roll cage in this car. At that point, I think the transmission tunnel is going to be expanded a little bit, and I want to make it removable. This is probably not going to be easy to do here by myself. I should probably have my kid to help me. I'm gonna go get a pry bar to pull this cross member out. And we'll see if we can't get this dropped without breaking stuff. Sometimes this hood is a two-hand job. Let's say that again differently. Sometimes it takes two hands to do this job. Ah, there we go. I loosened it the first time. So I had this nice chunk of 2x4 and apparently a walking stick holding things up. I just go get some wire cutters and hack that apart. I tend to try to hang on to stuff like this for some reason. My thrifty ways. For the next one. Who knows what that'll be. If I was smart, I wouldn't get any more projects for a little bit. But a quick view of the underside here. This side obviously had some issues because of the battery, most likely. Somebody did some fender repair. He must have been a drywall guy. But then some surface rust brewing on the firewall. Some rust over here in the hinge area. Surface rust, blah, 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 blah. In the meantime, transmission time. Please say a little prayer for me. Man, who wouldn't want to lift? Alright. Slow and steady. Slow and steady. Maybe. Literally should not be tied to anything at this point. Alright, oh, jack's all the way down. We're going to try and slide it off the jack at this point. I don't think it's coming out from under the car without me jacking the car up. Hopefully there's no fluid in it. Nothing worse than tipping a transmission back and covering your floor in stinky fluid. This one will be stinky if there's any in it, because of previously mentioned story. We are out. I will deal with that in a moment. I've tried to clear a little space on the shelf. Can't have transmissions sitting on the floor. Not anymore. Not that now that I have a shelf. I think this slant 6 valve cover is a problem. The one you can't see. There we go. Anybody want a slant 6 valve cover in the rocker gear? It's just taking up space. Cue the hernia. Guess what's still in the way? Not sure why I kept that. Not sure where I keep a lot of things. All right, Torx light expertly stowed away. Yes, this is pretty much Torx Light Alley. A couple of old past car transmissions, a 904, a motorhome 727. Yeah, another 727 back there. My spare parts, guys. You gotta have a few of those on hand, don't you? wanted to put up here so I don't lose it. Where's the cross member for the Valiant? Oh, it's in it. Oh, okay. Beautiful. Otherwise, it'd be... Are you kidding me? I have no idea. Gathered supplies. Supplies meaning a little light, a little power, and a cutoff tool. I'm gonna start cutting, guys. Sometimes the trick is to find all the spot welds. In the seat bracket, there's definitely a couple at least. So I gotta find, I think there's one there, one in the corner, another guy here on the back half of the bracket. A couple of sneaky little spot welds from the floor pan into the rocker panel. So I'm gonna dig those out, and hopefully we'll be able to remove this chunk of metal on this first half. Put that in the scrap metal pile. Now we've got a much bigger hole in the floor, which mainly means more room to work. So actually that reminds me, hang on to that piece until you get that bracket. We'll try and save that bracket for the e-brake. You can see lots of stuff in the cross member here. Definitely had critters and rodents and such living in here at one point. We've got a little bit of rust in this top section of this frame. Hoping that's the worst of it. Clean this all out. I think we're going to be okay on these front subframe sections. Not sure if you could see that on camera. I didn't think it was that cold in the shop, but I can see my breath. It actually feels warm in here. I've contemplated taking off my hoodie. We're not going to do that though. We're going to keep getting after it. It's nice when the spot welds give out real easy. Back in here though, under the back seat, stuff's really nice. Really solid. Doesn't seem like any rust back here. Even in the corners by the wheel well. But yeah, we just need to get to the back where the I guess it's technically the front of the spring hanger in this general area. So we get to the back of the box and where the front of the leaf spring hangs. So we can open that all up like we did before, as you saw the first video. So I might cut just a little bit further. So we'll keep rocking and rolling. Or cutting. We'll get these subframes in. We're going to tie the subframe to the rocker at some point, you know, back here. Try and, you know, add strength, if not make more than what was here originally. But still, more cutting. And yes, we're not really using finesse so much right now. That will come later. See, we're into this good floor at this point. But yeah, it looks like we're gonna have to go back a little further anyway. So we've got some spot welds also to take care of. Those are in there pretty good, so I'll go ahead and turn my cutoff tool into a grinder. It's really crazy that this car was so rusty. But, I mean, even though it's been off the road for over 20 years, probably seems like 25 to 30 based on what old paperwork was in the car when I got it. That was still in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 years to rust too, and on Utah roads we salt the crap out of them, so here you are. We're getting there. Yes, for those of you wondering, my tetanus shot is up to date. I have been to the ER due to working on cars. I have had stitches due to working on cars. And I learned my lesson on safety glasses when I had to go to the ER to get a very, very small shard of metal taken out of my eye. Luckily, it wasn't really embedded, just kind of hanging out on the surface, but it wasn't something I was willing to mess with. Safety first, except with your angle grinder. We have exposed a good portion of the front of the rear subframe. Got a little bit of, you know, filler crap to grind away. I want to get this inner channel cleaned out. Cut back a little further, but get that cleaned out and welded in solid. I've been at it for a couple hours here, and this has been fun. I always love getting out in the garage and doing stuff that I don't have to do, right? It's always those projects that, like my kid's car, had to put an alternator in it. The new reman alternator didn't work. Turns out the reman was bad, so that's kind of a job you don't want to do. Wasn't fun. Had to do it twice. But this, man, I'm trying to create something. I'm trying to make something awesome out of this car that's been, you know, beaten, downtrodden, rode to death. Trying to bring it back, turn it into something. So yeah, we're having a good time messing around with this. My kid's car, by the way, a Chevrolet. I don't know who let him get talked into that, but it happened. We're dealing with it. This is what it's all about, the fun stuff. So we've done quite a bit of floor removal. I wanted to get up into the frame rail and see what's going on there. Really solid. Really solid. I'm happy about that. Same with the transmission cross member, torsion bar cross member. Although there is a lot of crap in there I got to clean out. But I think that is going to do it for this episode. More to come. Obviously, these subframe connectors, the channels will get cleaned. It'll take you long for that. And of course, my charger. We have work to do to get it ready to go to Matt's in the spring. And we're going to try and put my boy in this one. Let him get down the track for the first time. He's done some burnouts in this thing, so I think he'll be just fine. Few parts to get purchased up. Oh Lord, it's Borat! Borat, get in my garage. Eat some Borat! That's the kind of crap that happens at T's Good Times Garage. Borat shows up. So thanks for coming along on this little journey. I appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, thank you very much. I appreciate that as well. And if you're not, please give that a consideration. Thank you guys very much. We'll get back out in the garage as quickly as we can. See if we can't make some more headway on this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Put WD-40 on the list.